it's time to piss people off again. Dave Polsky episodes are always controversial, but wow. I've seen two camps with this episode. It's one of the best episodes ever, and every single second of it is really cool. Or it's a bad fanfiction put to animation. Now obviously, I'm in one of those camps. The one that thinks this episode is fucking awesome. Yay, I got to play defense attorney one more time. Join me in taking incredible leaps of logic as I help this episode make sense on every single front. Oh yeah, I think I can do it. I did it once before, I'll do it again. The episode starts with Fluttershy attempting to teach baby birds how to fly. Meanwhile, Rainbow Dash comes by, excited for something. Apparently, the next Daring Do book is coming out 4 months from today. Wow. Remember how people said that Rated and Weep was a shout out to Bronies? I think that Dave Polsky decided to keep on that front, since most of the dialogue of this episode seems echoed from BronyCon.
Will she at long last stalk the fortress of Talicon, only to be forced to contend with its dreaded and impenetrable arrow defense?
Yeah, that was pretty much us, even 4 months ago.
Face to face with the vast and horrible Owie Zodal himself?
Yeah, we're just gonna call him George. Hey, those birds learned how to fly. That's a nice turn on a classic joke. We cut to 5 days later because why not? In Twilight's house, we see the Pinkie Pie throw a random party for a National Random Party Day. It's time for everyone's favorite part of the review. Is Pinkie Pie in character? For the past couple of episodes, she's been a complete idiot playing with coloring books and banging her head on the inside of a bell because why not? Here, she's throwing a party for a holiday she presumably made herself. Ding ding, she's in character. She's actually an adult for once.
You might say the secret ingredient is a secret.
It's gummy, isn't it? We learn that the release of the next Daring Do book had been pushed back. The publisher said that AK Yearling won't be able to finish the book for another 2 months. Apparently, Twilight knows everything about AK Yearling, which is kinda like an issue of a comic series that shall not be mentioned. That gives Rainbow an idea. She wants to know where Yearling lives in order to help her start writing again.
Needs help dealing with whatever everyday nonsense is distracting her from spending her every living, breathing second writing.
Anyone else getting a real misery vibe from this? They start traveling on what clearly seems to be a map of Equestria. Let's present our first piece of evidence, an actual official map of Equestria. These locations clearly correspond to actual known locations. After all, that looks like Cloudsdale, and there are many railroad tracks. With careful consideration, AK Yearling lives roughly here. This will be important later. If you don't believe me, Pinkie left a red line in order for you to judge for yourself. They go find AK Yearling's cottage, and it's been ransacked. Either that or
Maybe AK Yearling's just a terrible, horrible, unbelievable slob.
That's actually a very valid conclusion. That's what makes Pinkie in character. Her conclusions have some semblance of logic, some relation to reality. There is no way that coloring books would tell her about plants conquering Equestria, but Yearling being a slob is actually a possibility. All of a sudden, AK Yearling comes inside the building and oh my god, she looks like Octavia. And apparently she writes her books in binary, and keeps artifacts in certain ones. Twilight pulls Rainbow outside, and they see some sort of thieves breaking into the house. And it turns out
AK Yearling is Daring Do.
oh geez, thanks. Spoilers.
No. It's not true. That's impossible. Objection!
No, it's not. At all. If this is Daring Do, that means that all of her books are technically non-fiction. Yeah, the contents of all those books really happened. Considering that George is going to come back in this episode, and Rainbow even outright said that George is Daring's nemesis, we can infer that he's the antagonist in each one of Daring's books. The biggest complaint towards this episode is why doesn't Celestia and Luna know about George and Daring's exploits? Let's think about this. Yeah, we're doing that again. Quite honestly, I'd be more surprised that Celestia and Luna knew about George. Why did they know about Discord and Sombra? Because they became a threat that at least partially succeeded in what they wanted to do. Daring Do always wins. I think that that's safe to assume. She's alive, isn't she? George never became a threat because Daring always stopped him before he had the chance to win. Why would you tell the authorities who have more important things to do about a situation that you could already handle yourself? Finally, there's the question of why Daring decided to write down her adventures. Now, it really doesn't matter why. It could have been for some kind of money, create a dual identity, etc. Here's my theory. The books are a failsafe. If Daring Do ever failed and George actually did become a threat, everyone would realize that he was real. And with the books, they'd have all of Daring's experience available to them. Check and mate.
My mind is officially blown.
Oh, you mean the comics where they lasso the fucking moon and walk straight to it through the void of space? I think we can let that inconsistency slide. Besides, the comics are only barely canon. You want inconsistencies? Why is it easier to turn an apple into a carriage than it is to turn an apple into an orange? Anyway, Daring Do fights for the ring, and I love how the main six are watching it like it's a television show. Why aren't they doing anything? I think they're still processing the fact that this is real. I mean, like I said, they're watching it like it's a television show. You take some time processing your favorite fictional character coming to life too. This guy comes in and takes the ring.
You're stealing the ring to give to him, so his hold on the fortress of Talicon will be good for 8 centuries.
I'm taking it that AK Yearling isn't the best writer since that was solely exposition. but then again, I think that was the intent here. Besides, the exposition isn't too useful to us. Eventually, Fluttershy realizes this is actually real and reminds them to go in to help. They come in and Daring Do says that she handles her business alone.
We're scattered to the four corners of Tenochtitlan, thus rendering the dark enchantment powerless? Only if you assume that the rings have yet to be retrieved.
It's like looking in the mirror. Yeah, Polsky really knows how to write fanatics of something. After all, isn't that what I just did?
We're going to need a carefully thought out plan. I'm coming, Daring Do! That's not a plan!
It's called Blitzkrieg. It's a very popular plan. Rainbow finds Daring Do and begins processing what's going on and starts fangirling. Is that in character for her?
Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh! I'm hanging with the Wonderbolts!
Yes. Daring Do tackles Rainbow and doesn't seem too concerned. Then Rainbow starts fangirling over Daring Do again. Hey, it looks like Rainbow and Scootaloo has more in common than we thought. Rainbow wants to help, but apparently Daring works alone.
I work alone.
Well, I see no reason why I can't come along.
I know the sound of each rock and stone, and I embrace what others fear. You are not to roam in this forgotten place. Just the likes of me are welcome here.
Now here we get the stupidest line of the episode, and the only part of it that I don't like.
Work always involves secrets, and since you never know who you can trust, it's best never to trust any pony.
I want to keep my life a secret, so I'm gonna publish it in a book series. They come across the thieves eating over a campfire, and Daring Do starts rubbing mud over her face. I'm above that joke. Anyway, she puts on a disguise and drops a pile of gold there, asking to buy the artifact. Hey, that's another reason for her to have a job as a book author. Of course, they accept Daring's offer, but George appears out of the woods and he wants the ring. Daring takes the ring, and we get my new favorite joke of the whole damn show.
Now, Risotto, you know I love you, but I can't give you the ring till I've properly proposed.
It's Rainbow's face there that makes the joke. George summons his minions, and we actually have an intense fight scene. Rainbow sees Daring's hat and makes an idiot out of herself, which gets Daring Do captured. You know, just because a character acts like an idiot doesn't mean that they're out of character. Dash has stupid moments. And she does feel guilt over what she's done, as George takes Daring Do to an Aztec temple. And before you complain about the Aztec temple, Canterlot is based on English architecture, Cloudsdale is based on Greek architecture, and the Crystal Empire is based on French architecture. I don't think it's too far-fetched to have some Aztec architecture in the vicinity. Twilight and the others come in, and yes, I will say that the rest of the main six should have been excluded from this episode. Twilight and the others convince Rainbow, and we get a pretty good moral. Rainbow put Daring so high on a pedestal that she's doubting her own self-worth. Wow, that's an extremely relevant moral. Like, it's a moral that I need to know as I'm writing this review. How do you do that? George has trapped Daring in a temple trap and plans to unleash 800 years of sweltering heat. Who's to say that it affects the sun? The ritual could affect the ozone, creating a global warming kind of effect. You do know that Canada has summers too, right? And they can get pretty warm. A pit of water full of piranhas starts rising, and Daring breaks out of her prison. As she falls, Rainbow swings in to save her, and Rainbow gives her her hat. As the ritual begins, the rest of the main six break in, and we have a pretty nice climax. Rainbow and Daring start lifting the rings off. If they lift the bottom one, the entire fortress will collapse. And Daring learns that having a little help can be handy. Rainbow tells everyone else to run, and they escape as the temple crumbles. Then they smash the ring. Rainbow gets a new book, and apparently she's in this one. Yep, I now think Daring Don't is the most underrated episode of the show, beating out, I guess, the Crystal Empire. And before that it was, geez, gripping the brush off. Alright, first and foremost, I will admit that this episode would have been better off if the entire thing was a dream. Normally that ending is a slap in the face, but I think this episode would have been better off for it since most people had trouble handling the concept. I mean, Daring Do being a real character seems incredibly out there, like Twilight having a brother that we never heard of before. There was never any evidence that Daring Do couldn't have been a real character. Unlike there actually being evidence that Twilight couldn't have had a brother. Why don't more ponies know about Daring Do if she repeatedly saves the world? Probably the same reason that most ponies don't know about the main six, despite them not only saving the world on multiple times, but having other qualities like being successor of the fucking princess. I give out my suspension of disbelief evenly. Other episodes have stretched it farther, and have had evidence to bring them down. It's all a question of what I can or can't accept. I can't accept something that has tons of evidence against it, but I can accept something that comes out of nowhere, as long as no previous evidence said that it couldn't, and no previous evidence said that Daring couldn't be a real person. Did I go into this episode wanting to like it? After all, wanting more Daring Do is on my wish list, of course. If you go into an episode wanting to hate it, you're an idiot. I mean, you can go into something expecting to hate it. I am at a predisposition to like something. I know that my track record shows differently considering there are about 15 episodes that I don't like. The more that I like, the more that I can enjoy, the more enriched I feel my life is. so I am willing to give anything a fighting chance. But here's the point I'm trying to get across. There is no existing evidence that Daring Do cannot be a real pony. The ball is in your court now.